Hello, YouTube. You got me, VGH, with another deck profile that's been cooked up by yours truly. We got an inspirational list with Iono when we were in one of our online tournaments, which we do stream every Saturday and Sunday in case you guys want to come by and hang out with us while we play some tournament streams with some funny, messed up things, such as Iono Box. Yes, so with the introduction of Journey Together, there was a set of Pokemon that was kind of overlooked. Yeah, it may have had its stride, in the first week or so, like most decks do, of the release of Journeys Together, but it was kind of forgot about. We saw this thing work, and it was actually rather wild. It was definitely forgotten, but it was very, very strong. Now, for those of you who don't know, Iono's Kilowattrel has the ability, you may discard one electric energy from this Pokemon and draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. This synergizes with Iono's Bellibolt EX, which has Electric Streamer ability, which says you can place any amount of electric energies on any of your Iono's Pokemon from your hand as many times as you like during your turn. So when you use Iono's Kilowattrel, you discard a card, you draw up to 6, say you've drawn 4 cards, and 3 of those just happen to be an energy. You can use Iono's Bellibolt to put those energies down, and then use another Kilowattrel to discard another energy off Kilowattrel to draw 3 new cards, which happen to be more energies, and you put them more down. The big attacker of the deck is Iono's Voltorb. With Voltic Chain with 2 energies, it does 20 damage plus 20 more for each electric energy, attached to all of your Iono's Pokemon. So that includes the active Voltorb and all of the bench, which is why we run a hefty count of 20 electric energies. Sometimes you need a little bit of help trying to getting these things started, so if you want to get rid of bad cards you don't need anymore, like extra Wattrel, you can just toss them with Earthen Vessel. Superior Energy Retrieval gets you up to 4 energies back from your discard pile into your hand. Obviously, you discard 2, you get 4. Iono's Bellibolt puts them all on the board. Levincia helps you get 2 from the discard pile again, puts them all back down. And we run the ace spec of Max Rod. And now, what normally you can do is with Iono's Bellibolt, I would highly suggest only ever keeping about 3 energies on it, because obviously if it gets knocked out, you lose a Tadbulb, a Bellibolt, and 3 energies that you can all get back using the Max Rod. You usually want to kind of have like a Bellibolt and a Tadbulb on the board, or something along those lines of two Bellibolts, so if you lose one, you can still set up another one and still set all of the energies back using the Max Rod, Superior Energy Retrieval. It's a very vicious loop. The minute it gets set up, it's crazy. You have 2 Kilowattrel, again, if you can discard your whole hand, let's say, you can use an Iono, you can use a Kilowattrel, you can use another Kilowattrel to basically just sift through most of your deck in one phase, while using Superior Energy Retrieval, get stuff you don't need out of your hand, using Ultra Ball to get things that you need out of your hand, so you can just continuously draw more and more cards. Let's get into the gameplay, and I'll show you what I mean by how crazy this thing can actually get. Alright, yeah, so like I said, these are all done live when we are on stream. We were playing some of Iono Box on stream just to try and get a little bit more of a feel for it while we were testing and playtesting and editing the deck list. So what you're going to see right here is me from the past, so you can ignore him. But to show you exactly how the deck really works, we even start like against some of the more mainline things that happen on stream, as you can see here. We started out by using Carmine in the original build for the Ionos because we wanted to try and get a earlier board state kind of set up while also getting rid of things that we probably didn't need. Since we ran things like Max Rod and Superior Energy Retrieval, we thought Carmine might work a little bit better in order to like help us set up that turn 1 play and trying to go first, because the deck does want to go first since everything it kind of needs to run it needs to evolve. So we're going to need Tadbulb to evolve and Wattrel to evolve to start using a lot of our setups. So the deck does like to go first. We found very quickly that that's not entirely the case, nor is it necessary in order to play the deck out. It's actually kind of better if we don't use it, because it ended up throwing away a lot of things that were very necessary, and we can't use the card mid-game or late game, because usually at that point we're already like set up with what we need to play the game out. So we have everybody on the board now. We got the double Wattrel, we got the double Voltorb, and the double Tadbulb, which is really good for a setup. Unfortunately, we're allowed 2 turns in, giving our opponent a lot of time to kind of like set up in order to stop us. Usually that is the case. Luckily, we're up against a little bit of a slower deck where we don't have to worry about that too much. You know, Meganium and Hydrapple is cool and all, but without enough energies to draw and set up your bench enough, it doesn't go anywhere. We have to give our opponent a little bit of help here with the Iono, but it's not that big of a deal when you get the Bellibolt. So we can now set up our attackers, we can set up evolution, you know, get rid of extra pieces to get more pieces, and just keep going with this Bellibolt. Set up all of our Pokemon. You know, Voltorbs need 2 energy, Wattrels need 1 in order to use their abilities. And if you have extra energy, you can still use it for the Bellibolt to set up Bellibolts to also attack. It does have a 230 attack move, so it does have its moments where we can use that boss's orders to deal with things like Serendipity or, you know, Teal Mask, Ogerpon, let's say, because we still hit pretty heavy. So my opponent is using Toad Scroll with Slime Mold Colony, its wonderful ability stating you can't use trainer cards to get cards from your discard pile back into your hand. Kind of sucks, but it's not awful. And losing a Wattrel there with only 1 energy rather than him going after the one with 2 energies, not great, but also very playable. And we know that Kilowattrel has the wonderful ability of discard, draw 6, basically, in this instance, which is pretty nice. Levincia helps us get us cards, while also being able to set up all of our hand and still get everything back. So, unfortunately, Levincia just throws those energies out, because, yes, that's how it works with the Slime Mold Colony Toad Scroll on the board. Completely missed it when I was streaming, I'm not gonna lie. I had no idea what happened there, but we still had Carmine to just bail us out. And we just set up, and we're already swinging very heavily. Volk the Chain 220 is very strong. Hey, a single prize Pokemon hitting for 220 is still very, very powerful. And the problem is, if you can't, like, really go after, like, if you went after my Bellibolt here, that probably would have been a good idea. I should have put energy on Wattrel, I should have put an energy on Bellibolt and, like, spread out the energies. But, like, even dealing with the single prize, you're getting 1 prize, but I also have a backup Voltorb ready to go. And you know it was already doing 220, so subbing 2 energies out, it's still hitting for 180. We're just setting up everybody else. And empty hand equals draw 6, super powerful. I play Max Rod, still not even realizing the fact that in the Slime Mold Colony was a play, so I was very upset. But it really didn't make much of a difference after this point, so we can clear his Hydrapple, and he has 2 Pokemon that I can easily, like, abuse at this point to deal with the Teal Mask Ogerpon and the other Teal Mask Ogerpon that can both get hit by Bellibolt and clear it. Since we have double bosses, we're pretty much okay. Yeah, my opponent obviously going off for the Iono, but honestly, that Iono just gave me more energy to work with, which is just even better, because now I can just, you know, throw Buddy-Buddy Poffin, empty my hand, throw all the energies at the board, draw more. And we also now have double Bellibolt set up, so we're good on that front. Bosses. Hey, look, a bunch of energies, and deleted. More energy in my hand. We know we have a boss's orders left because he did shuffle it back in with the Iono play from before. So in the last 2 cards of our deck, we have another option, and we have 2 Bellibolts set up. With our opponent having to deal with getting 3 prizes left, we were still safe. So even clearing a Bellibolt here, it's like, okay, but I still have another Bellibolt that hits 230, and you have 2 Pokemon that are susceptible to getting shot by 230. And we knew that. With the Kilowattrel also being a play, we just kind of like have to thin our hand by as much as possible and just draw into our last card of our deck. So I have 5 in hand, draw 1, boss, yoink, and deleted. The deck does work very, very well, and that was with Carmine obviously throwing things out and Slime Mold Colony holding us back, and we still were able to get there. So Bellibolt hitting 230 is a great backup play if need be, since a lot of decks, if not every deck, is playing some form of support, such as, well, any of the Ogerpons, except for Cornerstone, but any of the Ogerpons, or Serendipity, or Mew, or, because all of those things can be still taken out by Bellibolt. So if need be, you can use both. So we're just doing setup plays in order to get our Pokemon, you know, on the board to start the game. And we already have a Kilowattrel in hand, so we're able to obviously play around that for next turn. If we wanted to empty our hand, we'd do, like, Ultra Ball, 1 energy, whatever we draw into, play Kilowattrel, play an energy, our hand is empty, and we'll have a Bellibolt and a Kilowattrel on the board with an energy on the board, so we can discard, draw to 6, still start building up. So the funny part about this deck that we're up against, the well-known Kangaskhan Wall deck that uses the Buffalant for plus 60 defense, the Bravery Charm for plus 50 HP, the Lively Stadium for plus another 30 HP, is that we don't really worry about much of any of it. And we're still able to work on it. So we're still able to work around it because we can still hit that 410 HP threshold with like full energy or full HP. I think our opponent did make a small misplay, so we're pretty happy about this. All right, Electric Streamer to get 2 energies down. We can still play this since we're going to be using Carmine anyway to discard. We don't want to like lose extra cards, so we might as well just place down all of our energies here. Touch Carmine, draw to 5, another Voltorb, so we can just set up even more pieces. Since we didn't find the other the Tadbulb, so it does kind of suck, but we do have all of our Voltorbs already set. Everyone's just kind of like ready to rumble. And we're just going to start poking. Since he couldn't, we figured since he didn't have a second energy on this Kangaskhan on the active already, it wouldn't bother getting hit. And the worst case scenario is like, you know, he gives 1 dark energy to Monkey Dory, and then he moves 30, and then we still have enough damage to take him out anyway. He went for the penny play, so he can't use another supporter, and he's still able to attack this turn, but all you're doing is just giving us that, like, good value here, because it's like, okay, you take 1 prize, but you're using a 3-prizer to do it. He has the open spot now for another Buffalant, and I think our opponent still just doesn't play around that, and it just gives us more value, so. This time we actually can use Max Rod for Max Rod's actual ability, getting all of our energy back and a Voltorb. I honestly don't think I should have went for the Voltorb there because we're looking for damage, but hey, it's fine. We have our full setup here. We can just still play Kilowattrel draws. We can play Boss's Order play to get, you know, a different Pokemon in the active, like maybe that Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon because Voltorb doesn't have an ability. But we're able to just keep sifting through to make just things better. You know, it makes things just feel stronger and, you know, more prepared for the next attack. Tossing an Iono, getting rid of his 10 cards to setting him to 5, getting us more cards that we don't have since we didn't have energies. There was a high possibility of getting even more to set up the Bellibolt now. Get more pieces. We did run a Palpad. I wonder if I still have that in the deck. I don't know if I did. But we just wanted to get very certain cards so we can just keep getting more and more damage on the board for us. And now that we're, like, overflowing in cards, it's like you want to kind of spread things out a little bit more. I think Voltorb was the wrong pick. Like, if we're going to lose 2 energies because our opponent wants to go after an attacker, they're going to go after the Voltorbs. So I shouldn't have put extra energy on Voltorb. I should have put it on, like, Kilowattrel because I'm going to be discarding energies with them anyway. So, but yeah, the deck has 20 electric energies in it. If you max out the damage, it's 20 plus 20 times 2, so you'll end up getting 420 as our maximum point damage if you have all 20 energies. So when playing the deck, you do sometimes have to take a look into how many energies you have in the deck, because obviously a couple of prized energies will put you on the back end, but it's nothing you can't really work around with enough Boss's Orders play, with a big enough board setup. You can just use Bosses, bring out something else, take that out. But as you can see here, like, the Kangaskhan is like our biggest threat with 350 HP. If he actually was playing it a little smarter, I'd have to say, he could have put down a second Buffalant and put the HP of a Kangaskhan all the way to 410. With 20 energies, we can still get to that damage. If not, you can still do things like bossing around it and trying to deal with, like, things like that Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, which, you know, blocks Pokemon that have an ability, but Voltorb doesn't. So Boss's Orders can easily bring up a Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon and knock that out, try and get you some more energies out of your prizes. It's sometimes having to deal with a multi-turn hit, but if your opponent, like, sets up differently, saying multiple Monkey Dories are set up, you can still boss around them and deal with Monkey Dories to try and get more prizing out while your opponent's like Kangaskhan is just suffering trying to figure out how to get around it. But we've basically done, I think, a minimum of 180 damage every single turn, and our opponent has only taken out 2 Voltorbs the entirety of this game. So it just makes things, like, super easy for us to try and get around. Like, we won't want to worry about these things, and that was 340 damage to clear the game. Like, that's how well off we are in damage. So my opponent couldn't deal with walling enough, so we were able to get 340 damage off. Another different deck. Another wonderful start with that Buddy-Buddy Poffin Levincia, so we can just throw away energies if need be. And this is when we started, I think, throwing in Ionos as well. So we're able to try and get those extra plays of resetting hand to get more energy and continue to put all the bad energies down. So, we have Levincia here, which we can easily play. We can play an energy next turn. We're already setting up for the next turn. We can already throw Iono to reset our hand to 6 and also disrupt our opponent's hand, which is awesome against a deck similar to, Alakazam, where they run the draw engine of the century and you just take away all their draw engine. He wispy voiced and discarded a card. It was very rude, but at the same time, since it was an energy, it didn't matter. We obviously can get a reset, hit up a Bellibolt, throw away another energy, Levincia to get our energy back, so we can just put the energy down, discard. There we go. Look at all these energies. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can just retreat, bring out Bellibolt, and delete Togepi. There was really no reason to do so, and realizing it now, I was still in testing phase, so I figured, okay, getting rid of Togepi is a good idea, and really, it wasn't that good. And unfortunately for this Alakazam player, I think this was like the first matchup where we changed the deck out to use no Carmine and switched to Judge Iono. And it was just very painful for him because, maybe they get an attack off here and there, but like when we just throw things like Judge or Ionos at the board, it's hysterical if nothing else. This is me trying to discuss with myself. Do I throw away the energy, move the Pokemon forward, and try and do something else? Or, like, I can use Ultra Ball to get another Voltorb, and then try and use different options to try and not have to do what I have here. So, Judge sets my opponent back to 4, and we already have the extra plays. We got Voltorb off the top with those Buddy-Buddy Poffins, more energy down. Hit the retreat. Voltorb still does what it needs to do with that, clearing a Pidgey for another prize. More Electric Streamer sets up a second Voltorb altogether. We draw to 5. It's crazy. Another Kilowattrel. So you know what happens? More energies come down. We use Kilowattrel. We draw 3 new cards. Oh, look at that. More cards. And then we just start attacking. And if we have a bunch of cards in our hand that we can't use, let's say, we have an extra Kilowattrel. After all those extra Pokemon, we can't play any of them. So when you throw Iono, all those cards go to the bottom of the deck, right? So you don't need them anymore. You get new energies. You play energies from your hand and thin out your hand as much as possible. Hit an Iono, draw 4 new cards out of your deck, and then you just put all those cards down if they're energies. You hit Kilowattrel, discard, draw more cards. Play other energies, another Kilowattrel, discard, draw more cards. More energies, put all those down. Every time you discard off the Kilowattrel, you can get them back with Superior Energy Retrieval, Levincia, and just keep discarding cards out of your hand. You can even just throw Ultra Ball just to get rid of extra Pokemon you may not need for the time being, because you have Max Rod to bring them back. The deck synergizes with itself in such a weird way that once you get set up, you're just filtering through, like, 50% of your entire deck every single turn. Opponent's trying to figure something out, and I'm just thinking I could just deal with that Fez. I can just boss up, deal with Fez. How much energy do I have? Levincia gets me more. Draw gets me more. I can use an Iono if need be, but if we just set up our attackers, set up our extra energy, hurt our opponent's hand by using this Judge because we can, we just keep going, oh, look, more cards. Let me just manually place an energy here. Kilowattrel, draw me 3 more. Oh, look, some stuff. All right, well, since I can't go any farther, hit for 240. It's like, yes, they can get extra draw power, but without energy, without attackers, without this, that, and the other thing, like, you can draw 27 cards and take out my Voltorb, and then it's just like, all right, so what did you actually accomplish here? The best thing you can do, take out Bellibolt. Okay, but I still have enough energy to take out an Alakazam, so it's not like it matters. And we still have another Tadbulb on the bench, so we can always just use Max Rod to bring back our Bellibolt and then put it on the Tadbulb and evolve. So, like, nothing stopped us there. And everything felt bad for him, because every turn we're hitting him with a Judge or an Iono to just make their day a little bit worse, and Kilowattrel just keeps resetting us back to 6 anyway, so it's not like it matters. Yes, a Charizard matchup. Funny enough, you'd think this would be a problem. It just wasn't, and it was hysterical. We got the double Buddy-Buddy open, which is rare, but definitely can happen, so we're just setting ourselves up for, well, the follow-up play of the Kilowattrel. We're not expecting a lot, because we're expecting Charizard to kind of like Arven and Buddy-Buddy Poffin and TM Evo and all those other wonderful things in order to, like, kind of clear or set up a board. I think we found out during this game that there was a Japanese tournament that happened, a play league or something, that ended up getting a first-place finish with this deck, with this Dunsparce and, like, Draw Engine. And I was just totally baffled, and it definitely threw me off, but you guys might see it on ladder a little bit these days, so definitely a good thing to learn that there are counters. We have Judge, so we're not worried about these things. We can get another Kilowattrel to, again, draw more cards. We're going to go Levincia, hit the Judge, sets us both to 4. Extra energy is fine. We can discard, draw 2. Oh, look, more energy. And then just kind of sit here. Unfortunately, we didn't get a Ultra Ball for a Bellibolt, but it wasn't awful. The Battle Cage. Unfortunately, got rid of my Levincia. It makes sense for the Battle Cage, though, with this deck, because they're able to protect their bench when they use a bunch of Dunsparce. Weird they don't use the free retreating Dunsparce with Battle Cage anyway, or the like the 70 HP that has Find a Friend, but you know, it's not my call. I don't know what the deck did, but don't need these things. We have an in-hand Max Rod, and then bam, our setup is already done. The biggest contributor to a problem is Tadbulb being the active, only because it does have a 2 energy retreat cost. So like getting those energies back on a retreat does kind of suck. But we do know what we have to do in order to stop letting him play the game. Get all of our energies back, start setting up all of our Pokemon again, and still just keep drawing. Just never stop drawing. Oh, look, another Bellibolt. And there we go. Our Kilowattrels are already set up for next turn. We have a Superior in case our opponent knocks out our Voltorb. We have all of the pieces set up, and what do they got? A bunch of basics that are not even EXs yet. So, you know, you draw whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It's the hand disruption of quadruple Judge, quadruple Iono is hysterical. When you have the ability to draw up to 12 cards with double Kilowattrel and then Iono and Judge to reset and redraw. It just feels so strong. And by like early game, Iono obviously getting you 6 and Judge getting you to 4, and then just resetting again to your opponent resetting to 4. Judge is so funny. So you guys have seen that this deck has worked relatively well against a lot of different decks. It's 1v1'd so many things with very little effort. Once it does get itself situated, it's incredibly strong. I will say that if you get set up, I think this day, when we were playing this deck that day, and when we updated it to quad Iono, quad Judge, I'm pretty sure we went 5-1 with the list on ladder. And basically every time we got set up, the game was basically over. Like, your opponent can't realistically clear like multiple things at once, because like if you have one Bellibolt set up and you have a Tadbulb on the board, there's a % chance to just get things back. If you lose a Kilowattrel, you'll still have the other one. If you lose a Voltorb, you're already going to have another one in the setup that already has all of its energy. So, do I think it's like best deck in format? Absolutely not. When any deck that runs 20 energies is pretty much not the best deck in format. But it is very strong and very fun. Hit up the Iono. We have a Bellibolt set up. We got the Max Rod now. We got another Bellibolt. We still are able to retreat and, you know, play all of our energies out. We just missed a Kilowattrel, which doesn't feel very good. But we are still able to start getting those attacks off. Again, do I think that the attacks early game, like a Bellibolt swing for 230 on a Tatsugiri matters? No, not really. But what I do like is the fact that our stage 1 Bellibolt does have 280 HP, making Charizard a lot worse at knocking us out, because after like 3 prizes is 270. So we're pretty much in a clear state right here. Unfortunately, they were able to set up a full setup for Pidgeot, Charizard, all in one move. I don't know what the third energy on the Charmander in the bench did, but I could have been a misclick for all I know. That, or they set up, oh, was this the Mega Charizard? It might have been a Mega Charizard. I think that's why they did that. They couldn't knock out Bellibolt, which is, like, disastrous because of how easy it is for us to kind of, like, work around things. More Voltorbs, yay! And now we just get a little screwed up here because we did not get anything to help us. But we can sacrifice other things and not worry about the bench too much. Just losing out on certain other pieces makes it a little easier for us. Yeah, so he had to use a counter catcher and a, I guess like a Turo or something. I don't know what that's just, what. Yeah, it's still funny because our opponent does set up a one-shot, like a Moltres play in order to try and like thin our values out. But since we left the Wattrel alive, it gives me more value since there is another Bellibolt. Oh, look at that, 3 energies, cool, double setup and another energy, so we have another Kilowattrel play. Discard 1, draw 6. Oh, look, 3 more energy and a boatload of energy on our discard pile? Cool. Let's just do that. Oh, look, energy. Just gets ourselves set up. That max rod is just so absurdly just strong. Look, both of our Voltorbs are set up. Our Bellibolt is maxed out, and we have extra energies on our Kilowattrel for more discard, draw more, and it just works, dude. It just works. Like, the prize pool is still 4-4 when you look at it. Yes, if my opponent deletes a Bellibolt, not a good feeling. But we still have, like, Tadbulbs. We still can set it up again, and we still work around it. Heck, because our opponent is using the Mega Kangaskhan, the Charizard there has an air balloon. And in doing so, it can only hit 27 and not knock out Bellibolt. So he has to go Mega Charizard just to get the damage to get the knockout. But it removes 4 of his energy to get there. So, yeah, we're in not a great position. And we're out our Tadbulb, Bellibolt kind of things. But it's not like we're out of the game, per se. You know, we have extra cards. We can just throw things out, go get other pieces. Unfortunately, I didn't play around the Max Rod play that well because we don't have other options to go get Bellibolt out, but we're just going to work around what's the biggest concern that we can deal with. Oh, I know. Let's get Fez out, weakened, and bop, 220 damage. You know what a wonderful card is? Pidgeot. And you know who's weak to lightning? Pidgeot. My opponent basically threw because they didn't need to put the Pidgeot down realistically. But because they did, it does make our life a little bit better because we know we have multiple boss orders that we haven't been able to throw yet, and we just have to play smart. The deck, yes, does go throw everything at the board, but you can still play a little smart with it, you know, just dealing with weaker Pokemon or not attacking when you don't need to not have to lose prizing that you don't need to lose, because then it gives your opponent access to, like, Counter Catcher and other things of those natures. But, we only lost 2 energies. We still can play an energy and still try and thin our deck, check to see what we have. Obviously, we just got to throw away things that we can't use, not pick up extra cards because it's not necessary. And then we just got to believe, because we have discard, draw 3, and 2 of those are boss's orders. Missed. Awesome. Love that. Anyway, discard. Can't use these. Let's go get these. Don't pick up anything. Oh, sorry. You have to pick up 1. And then I have 5 cards left in my deck. 2 of them are bosses. We pray off the top deck, and we believed. Took out the Pidgeot or game. So, let me bring up the deck one more time for you guys to see. It's so straightforward. It literally, if you look at that, it has 15 unique cards in the entirety of the deck. 60-card deck, there's only 15 unique cards in the entirety of it. So, I'd say give it a shot. I think it's really fun. I think it's it's not even like that linear, but it really is. It's linear in terms of how many cards are actually in the deck, but it's just, it works. It works in such a way that it just feels stronger than I feel like it should be. Let me know what you guys think of the deck in the comments, and if you guys have a funny deck idea, please let me know. You guys can head over to my Discord, which is going to be linked in the description below. You guys, bring up those fun decks. I love to record videos and play those fun decks, even bringing them into tournaments sometimes. So I will see you guys live on my Twitch over at twitch.tv/videogamehouse. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, and Sundays, starting as early as 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where you guys can give me your deck lists, and we can all play together. I'll catch you guys on the next video.